Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer here with Mike Gallagher to walk you through a nice, easy 4-game Monday slate for me to settle back in after vacation. Want to thank Justin Fan, Gary Hartman, and Mike for holding down the fort. Mike, how are you on this this abbreviated Monday slate?
Yeah, doing good. Good little week last week. You guys dealing with a lot of my content, filling in for you and Gary. But went out with a bang. Had the Foxfly plant on Friday, so that was quite the plant. Guy went completely bananas. Shout out to De'Aaron Fox, and then doing it with Gary Hartman, Mister Fox was extra sweet flag plant. But yeah, we're excited for this small slate today.
Love to see it. Gary and I will be back at the DFS Reigns today at 5 o'clock Eastern. You can join us there behind the paywall. Let's get into the injury stuff today. It's not too bad, except for this, tankathon here in Detroit and Charlotte. Detroit, the injury report for them is quite long. Bojan Bogdanovic has been ruled out. He was listed questionable originally, still listed questionable on the injury report, but they've ruled him out. Cade Cunningham, of course, Jalen Duren, Jaden Ivey for personal reasons, Nerlens Noel still not with the team. Jared Rhoden listed as out with a G League assignment. There's a potential that they change that if they're down. Another man who, Isaiah Stewart, is questionable as well. They got Marvin Bagley back post All-Star break here. So what are your thoughts on how things look for the Detroit Pistons without, what amounts to really, 4 or 5 of their expected starters kind of coming into the second half of the season here?
Yeah, they're so thin. We're talking about, are they calling up Jared Rhoden? That's how bad it is. Let me start with Stewart with the Q tag. So I was trying to figure out what happened there because it looked like he had like some contact with Pirtle and like he played through it for like 5, 6, 7 possessions and asked out. So something's up. It was called soreness with his hip. So might miss this one. Don't have a great read on his availability. Obviously, if he doesn't play. We could see a lot of overlap with Bagley and Wiseman. They'd have to play pretty much everyone they have, but that would make Wiseman and Bagley, both pretty interesting in a good matchup against a weaker Hornets front court. Should mention Wiseman had some really bad foul trouble, and they played him through foul trouble. He had 4 fouls early third, and they let him play through it. Fouled out early, so I think they want to play him a lot. Obviously, there was the report earlier when he got traded that they were planning to start him in the center spot. Certainly, no Duren with both his ankles are hurt. 2 bad wheels, according to Dwayne Casey. But yeah, I think Weissman's, I'm curious to see what his DFS price is, but he could be a pretty good play. Bagley coming off a monster game in his return, goes for 21 and 18. Again, we didn't see any overlap there, but there could be some just out of desperation there. Could expect Isaiah Livers to get the start and probably play a lot and actually probably guard LaMelo. Wouldn't be surprised to see that. Or they might put Killian on him. We'll kind of see. I think Killian on Rozier kind of makes a little more sense. But yeah, they're getting really, really thin. They probably if Stewart's out, they probably would start Livers at the 4, and then maybe bring in Hamidou Diallo as well. It's pretty gross. And obviously Killian, who's been being pushed down for ball handling, he'd be pushed back up now without Jaden Ivey. Ivy's been really running a lot of the offense lately, so Killian gets a second chance here.
Yeah, I think the bigger concern for me, and I did see somebody tweet at James Edwards earlier asking, would you expect RJ Hampton has had enough practice to take a good chunk of guard minutes tonight? And James Edwards just wrote yes. The bigger concern for me here is just like there's not going to be a lot of games or situations this year that we have to worry about, I think, from like a tanking situation, because there's such a gap between the top 3 teams in terms of the worst 3 teams and Charlotte, who's the 4th. Charlotte has 4 more wins than Detroit, 5 more than San Antonio, 6 more than Houston. There's only like 20 games left. It's very unlikely that Houston or San Antonio are going to win like 5 to 6 games even the rest of the way, right? But Detroit, like, this is one where if Detroit wins this game, it does bring it into play a little bit more. And the chances, the odds don't change dramatically, right? It's 14% versus 12.5%. But given that Detroit just ruled out so many players relatively early, I'm mildly concerned that they are just not interested in winning this game. And they'll play the rest of the games the rest of the year like fairly normal. But that this one in particular, they look at it as like, hey, we can clear 5 in the win column from this team, or we can have it down to 3. And with 3, weird stuff can happen. With 5, with only like 20-ish games left to play, we're probably in okay shape. And I just wonder, because like you look and like obviously, Duran's been hurt. Jaden Ivey, for personal reasons, who knows what's going on there. But Bojan got ruled out pretty early. Isaiah Stewart, we'll see. And that could lead to shenanigans, right? So like I always worry about that. The good news is some of these guys that we would potentially be interested in playing have generally not contributed a lot to winning, specifically James Weissman. So Weissman in particular, I could see playing a ton tonight. Would not be surprised to see RJ Hampton play a lot more than anyone would possibly have expected after just signing. So they are shorthanded. That will help. But in terms of projecting, the ranges of outcomes, it's the shorter handed teams it's more helpful. But we could also see them play weird lineup combinations tonight that aren't necessarily optimal, and we might be projecting the best players to play, and you might not get that. Is my main concern here. Guys like Alec Burks, guys like Hamidou Diallo. I worry that we could project them for a decent bid, and then we could see a lot of like Magruder and RJ Hampton and guys like that. What are your thoughts there in terms of the shenanigans meter? Is it high for this one?
No, I feel pretty good about them kind of playing it mostly straight, assuming the guys who they have are available. I do definitely share some of those concerns, but curious to see if it's like clearly a thing. If it's chalk for DFS, you're probably just going to fade them and just hope you get shenanigans there. But yeah, I think they're going to put the best team they can out there, which isn't very good at all. And yeah, to your point, like they would really have a tough time, not finishing top 3. And just on the Hornets side, really quick, if you have like LaMelo or Rozier or I guess those 2 guys, Hayward to a lesser degree, like in season long, this is great. That they're kind of settled in. They don't have much at stake here. Just to add that, we can maybe talk Charlotte, but yeah, I think they'll be pretty good. And we have Weissman at 26 minutes. I think he could blow it away. I think he could really. Yeah. They want to play him a lot. We saw him play, and I should add too, he had a pretty good rapport with Jaden Ivey. They had a nice little 2-man game going. Getting a double-double without any offensive rebounds, it's pretty good for him. I thought he looked, okay. So I was curious to see how he fits with Killian Hayes. Kind of a little funkier fit. Ivy's been playing much better, as I mentioned earlier. But yeah, we'll see. If Burks is starting, I feel pretty good. If he's not starting, then definitely a little dicey.
Okay, let's move to Miami, where, as always with Miami, there's plenty of questionable tags. Tyler Hero is questionable. Kyle Lowry was initially questionable. He has been downgraded to out. Kevin Love is probable here. They're still without Jamal Cain, Nikola Jovic, and Omer Yurtseven. What are your thoughts on the Heat, who have moved to signing Kevin Love off the buyout streets into starting him right away? If they're down Lowry, we've seen Gabe Vincent slide into that role all season long. They have Oladipo back and Duncan Robinson available, so they have more depth back. But Tyler Hero questionable leaves them potentially short another scoring option if he were unable to go. What are your thoughts on Tyler Hero's availability and how it impacts Miami's rotations tonight?
Went through shoot around, didn't really see what happened to him. I guess he just got dinged up in the Charlotte game. What a terrible, terrible loss for them. But expecting him to go. If he doesn't, would certainly be Max Strus's music. I think they like Caleb in that second unit now, being behind Jimmy. Kevin Love has a pretty big stat line in the last game. They're playing him a ton, like as you mentioned. Man, he has been just so slow at their zone defense. He's just letting guys by him when he tries to, show wing defense and try to recover off of it. He just hasn't been able to. So, yeah. But expecting Hero to go and probably playing a pretty good amount of minutes. If he doesn't, also that would really help Gabe Vincent a little bit. We've seen Gabe Vincent play off ball a ton. He would pick up a really big ball handling role if Hero didn't go. But again, shoot around should be out there.
Okay, let's move to the doubtfuls outs. Charlotte will be most likely without PJ Washington tonight. He is listed as doubtful. They're without Cody Martin, Teo Maledon, and James Bouknight already. It was interesting that we have seen since the Plumlee trade and since the adjustment to the starting lineup, PJ Washington missed last game. JT Thor slid into that starting rotation, and Mark Williams popped off in a really big way in a difficult matchup against Bam Adebayo and the Miami Heat. And it's interesting to me just in the sense that we had seen PJ Washington starting to get himself going in that starting lineup since Plumlee went down. So is this a situation where you insert JT Thor on the floor and he's just a very limited offensive player that as a result, it's going to funnel more opportunities to the other 4 starters?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you mentioned Mark Williams. Whew, baby. Coming off, he got in foul trouble on Friday, still blocked a bunch of shots. He's been playing really well. Not surprised to see that. Yeah, but pretty straightforward. We saw Kai Jones sub in early. I believe he was the 6th man. Still got 11 minutes. Got kind of cut down in the second half. Not surprised though. Should expect a similar rotation there. Still a pretty good bit of DSJ overlap. We'll see if Oubre's minutes come up. Would be surprised to see if he started. Maybe it was him returning from injury. We saw the minutes limit quotes on Friday. But I was surprised to only see him get 22 minutes. We overprojected him for sure with how we thought it was going to play out. So definitely keep your eyes peeled. First game of the day. But yeah, I would expect JT Thor to get the start again, even though he played pretty poorly.
If Oubre does slide into that starting lineup, do you think we go back to seeing a more tame Mark Williams in the starting lineup? Do you think that one game anomaly? Do you think it's tied to who's playing alongside him? Because his rates have been pretty modest as a starter compared to as a bench player this season, which is not uncommon for all players, but especially rookie centers. What are your thoughts on how his stock is impacted by Kelly Oubre's, whether he's starting or off the bench?
Yeah, definitely rather him off the bench, as you kind of alluded to. Definitely a low usage player, and JT Thor definitely helps. Thor's not a great rebounder either, so yeah. If I wanted to jam Mark Williams today, I'd be rooting for Thor to be out there.
Okay, let's move to in terms of other doubtfuls and outs. No Jaylen Brown tonight for the Boston Celtics. He's out. Derek White is listed as probable there. Personal reasons for Jaylen Brown's absence tonight. No other big injuries, guys that have been injured the whole year, like Gallinari, are on the injury report as well. How do you expect Boston to handle things in the absence of Jaylen Brown tonight?
Yeah, it's going to be Derek White season. I mean, this guy just every night is just we keep seeing like a little bit of unders to take on him, and now we just don't even do it. Because he's a scoring machine. His usage rate's been absurd. His usage rate held up in the first unit earlier when he was filling with Marcus Smart. So expect him to play really a lot of minutes. I would expect him to mostly slot into Jaylen Brown's minutes role. Maybe we'll see, if they keep it kind of tight. Don't know if they I think they might. The Knicks are playing pretty well. Maybe we see Muscala kind of move in there in a bigger-ish rotation. But yeah, definitely expecting a big role from White. Pretty good matchup for Jason Tatum. He's going to see Quentin Grimes. He saw him in the last time and had I believe 35 there. So obviously Horford, played really well too. Hit a couple big shots as well. But yeah, pretty straightforward. Should be Derek White in that first unit today.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's a matchup that typically, with the Knicks, with the size of Julius Randle and whatnot, you would start to think, oh, they're starting to lose some size and length on the perimeter. But with Al Horford and Robert Williams both healthy, there's no need to kind of change the front court rotations at all. You can leave Jason Tatum in the 3 spot. You can have Grant Williams as your primary pick off the bench. So sliding in Derek White, I think so much of the last few years, we've thought of Jaylen as a 3 and Jason as a 4. But when they have Horford and Time Lord together, they're 3s and 2s. And so you're replacing a guard, not a forward in terms of minutes here. Though Grant Williams should benefit as well. Derek White, the primary beneficiary here. Let's move to Philadelphia, where Dwayne Dedmon is listed out, as well as Mac McClung, who made a big impression during the All-Star break. Any notes from Philadelphia in terms of that you want to tackle here?
Nope. Yeah, just we're seeing a lot of PJ Tucker. Curious to see how he fits here. Revenge game for Tucker. But should note though, we do have a bit of a squeaky wheel narrative with Tyrese Maxey. Doc Rivers said after the game that they weren't getting him the ball enough. So especially if Hero can't go, where you don't need the on-ball defense as much, I wouldn't be surprised to see Maxey cook here in a matchup where you want shooting and floor space and additional ball handling. So I'm not on the DFS show. Curious to see what his price is, but I'd probably be talking up Tyrese Maxey a lot today. I guess I am right now, but yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like we saw PJ Tucker get up to 38 minutes in a game against Boston with Jason Tatum. Miami doesn't really have. You could say Jimmy Butler is kind of that guy, but Jimmy's playing the 3 more than he is the 4 these days. So I'm interested to see where PJ Tucker's minutes come in. They played really, really tight last game. As you alluded to, we saw a ton of Tucker, but it was also Tucker primarily as the backup center as well. Paul Reed only played 5 minutes. I shouldn't say primarily. There were only 3 minutes that were non-Embiid, non-Reed, but we saw some of that as well, which is absolutely something you can get away with against Miami. But no Dwayne Dedman revenge tonight. No Dwayne Dedman Theragun incidents tonight. Larry Nance for the Pelicans has been ruled out. They're still without Zion Williamson, of course. How does this impact your expectation on the Pelicans rotation? And specifically, the guy that we often look to in these situations is Jonas Valanciunas. What are your thoughts on minutes expectations for Joe Val tonight against the Magic?
Yeah, it should be pretty strong, right? They want to have more size out there. Matchup's not great. Orlando's defense has been a little bit better lately. They've been, pretty good at interior defense. They've been like a 3-point funnel. But yeah, should expect him to pick up most of those minutes. Billy Hernangomez probably picking up the stuff behind him there. But yeah, obviously it's the Brandon Ingram show. My matchup's cover boy today. Like his matchup against Gary Harris or Franz Wagner should be a pretty good spot for him, and a game they have to get. The Pelicans are playing so poorly. Their offense has been a disaster the last handful of games, but pretty high hopes for Brandon Ingram. Should mention Josh Richardson continues to start. Herb is just getting nuked, man. My guy Herb is down quite bad. That's looking like a terrible pick for me. But Trey Murphy off the bench too. Still not popping off too much, but the minutes have been okay. And it should be a good matchup, with Orlando giving him threes.
Yeah, it's actually a matchup that honestly, if I was kind of shaking things up in the starting lineup, I consider starting Trey over Herb. You don't need kind of as much on-ball defense against the Magic, and you need more shooting against them than Herb has provided so far. They're not going to do that, obviously, but just a potential impediment to Herb's ceiling from a minutes perspective tonight. Let's talk about the Magic, who are without Jonathan Isaac, right hamstring strain for him. What does that do to the Magic rotation, and how do things shake out? They're also without Caleb Houston and Kevon Harris, who are both G League assignments as well.
Yeah, we saw Goga Batadze pick up minutes in the last game. That was a surprise. Mosley kind of hinted he wanted a revenge game. Just reading between the lines a little bit. He was against his former team. So I don't know if they're going to go that way again. Certainly, it's going to be helping Jalen Suggs a little bit. We actually took an under on Cole Anthony on Saturday, and when Isaac got ruled out of the blue, it wasn't listed. It was like, oh man, this is going to help out his rebound rate, and he did rebound a little better than usual, but still got there, hit that one. But yeah, mostly straightforward. A little bit more Mo, a little bit more Bol. His minutes have been really cut down, so I expect Bol to kind of be the sneaky beneficiary. We'll see if Powell, who would probably get Herb on the other end, see if he can get going. But yeah, a little bit safer minutes for Gary Harris as well, as he might draw the Ingram assignment.
We saw they basically ended up with a 10-man with 12 minutes to that 10th man split between Batadze and Schofield. Do you think it's more likely for a 10th man type rotation tonight as opposed to a 9-man? And if they do go that 10th man route, do you think Okeke is ahead of or Schofield ahead of Goga? Like, what do you think the pecking order is in terms of likelihood for that 10th man spot?
Yeah, I would lean Chuma Okeke. We were expecting him to slot into the rotation vacated by Jonathan Isaac. It didn't happen. So maybe they get another look at Goga as well. So don't have a strong lean. It wouldn't be a guy we're looking at, but adding a 10th player takes a little bit of upside away from some of the bench guys. Yeah.
All right. Any other injuries that we need to cover? As we noted before, kind of a light injury report show today with, the Pistons missing some guys. No Kyle Lowry for the Heat today. And then PJ Washington, Jaylen Brown. Any other notes that you want to touch on before we get out of here?
No, just me. I fell hiking on Saturday, but I'm bruised up. But I'm good. Got a couple hand. No, my fingers are good, so I could still work and grind it up. But yeah, I'm probable for today.
Good to hear. The matchups column is already out, so you all know that. Myself and Gary Hartman will be behind the paywall at 5:00 Eastern, so you can catch us there today. As always, please support the people who are supporting us. The show is brought to you by our friends at Underdog Fantasy. They have daily NBA snake drafts for money running in addition to off-season and best ball contests that have already started. There's rookies and sophomores drafts. There's contests that are already kind of filling in anticipation of next year in advance of the April NFL draft. If you're playing NBA Pick'em, in-season subscribers can use our tool to compare ETR projections to their fantasy Pick'em games. And if you haven't signed up for Underdog yet, use promo code ETR for a matching deposit bonus up to $100. That's promo code ETR at underdogfantasy.com. All right, Join us behind the paywall at 5 o'clock Eastern today. Myself and Gary Hartman will break down this 4-game slate with, of course, the different rules and groups that we're thinking of and trying to set when creating our lineups. We'll have room for question and answer time as well with just a 4-game slate. So strategic questions we'll be able to answer there as well. And of course, the flag plants. So join us beyond the paywall at 5 o'clock Eastern time tonight. As always, if you're uninterested in giving us your hard-earned dollars, we do ask for your hard-earned clicks. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, get notifications whenever we go live. And of course, smash that like button and help feed that algorithm. It's been a nice hearty break for me. I've been feeding myself with sunshine and beach time. It's time to get back to feeding our lords, the tech lords, the algos. So as always, we ask you to smash that like button, help feed the algorithm. It'll help us feed our families, and we'll continue to feed you the NBA injury report analysis that you need each and every Monday through Friday to make your DFS lineups, your spread bets, your prop bets, so on and so forth. Nom, 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 nom. We'll see you next time.